Next example comes out of section 4.2, the unit circle. In this question we're asked to determine the coordinates on the unit circle that satisfy the conditions given, and we're given two different conditions. The first one is that the x-coordinate is 3 over 4. Now, the first thing we need to realize is that anything on the unit circle needs to satisfy the equation x squared plus y squared equals 1. It's a circle with a radius of 1. We can even do a very little rough sketch of it. And we want the x-coordinate to be 3/4. So 3/4 is somewhere around here. And we should notice, if we draw it somewhat carefully, that there actually should be two possible answers to that. If we put this in algebraically and say, well, 3/4 squared plus y squared equals 1, that's 9 over 16 plus y squared equals 1. So I subtract 9 over 16 from both sides, and I get that y squared equals 1 minus 9 over 16, which is 7 over 16. So y is equal to plus or minus the square root of that, 7 over 16. Now 7 isn't the perfect square, but 16 definitely is, so we can say plus or minus root 7 over 4. Not a particularly nice number, but we can see why we have two answers. There's the positive answer, so this point that actually is up here in quadrant 1, root 7 over 4 is the y-coordinate, and this point down in quadrant 4, which is x-coordinate 3/4, y-coordinate negative root 7 over 4. So two answers possible, and that's why it says determine the coordinates that satisfy the given conditions given. There could be one or two or more coordinates depending on what the conditions are. Now the second one says x comma 5 over 13, so in other words my y value is 5 over 13, but we have to be in quadrant 2. So quadrant 2 is this quadrant over here, and I need a y value of 5 over 13. In this case, I'm only going to be able to find one answer. I still would start with the equation of the unit circle. X squared plus y squared has to equal 1. So x squared plus 5 over 13 squared has to equal 1. X squared plus 25 over 169 equals 1. So I solve for the x squared by subtracting 25 over 169, and I get 144 over 169. Square root both sides, and I get plus or minus 12 over 13. There would have been two possible answers that would have that y-coordinate, but the fact is only one of them is going to be in quadrant 2, and that is the negative one, so x equals negative 12 over 13. So the coordinate on the unit circle is negative 12 over 13, comma, 5 over 13, and you can see in the picture above roughly where that would be.